Have you ever been in love? Have you ever had that person that makes you feel complete? Someone who supports you in every dream, goal, and passion that you have, and whose touch just makes you feel electric. Love is a powerful thing, and each one of us who've gotten to experience love are better for it. While love is wonderful, it comes with a lot of heartache, heartbreak, and anxieties that can really complicate someone's feelings and actions. Darling in the Franxx explores the ideas of love and relationships through all of its characters, and it actually shows a lot of really positive examples of relationships. The characters are surprisingly mature in the way they navigate this messy thing called love, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Be aware that there will be full spoilers for Darling in the Franxx. I won't be going over every little episode or every little detail by any means, but be aware that the anime is at the end of the day a drama, and I will be discussing all of the character relationships that are the main drive of the show. I definitely recommend you watch Darling in the Franxx first. Add this video to your watch later, and I'll talk to you when you're done with the anime. For everyone else, let's go. First, a quick recap. Darling in the Franxx takes place in a futuristic version of the Earth where humanity has achieved immortality using a substance called magma energy. Magma energy has also helped humanity reach incredible technological advancements. It's not all good though. The adults are now infertile and they lack a lot of the core emotions that really make a person. They're essentially just living to be alive and nothing else. Another big issue is that a species of large mechanical monsters surfaced once humanity started mining the Earth's magma energy. The mining out of the Earth's magma energy has also made the Earth pretty much uninhabitable to most things. To counteract this, the humans now live on these giant moving plantations fueled by magma energy. The Klaxors attack these plantations on a semi-regular basis, so the humans created children called parasites that could operate these giant robots called Franxx in order to defend their home. The main focus of Darling in the Franxx is a squad of these parasites and the struggles that they face. This team is a unique team. Most teams have their emotions removed and their puberty is halted. The regular teams all also operate a standard set of Franxx. For Squad 13 though, not only are they allowed to keep the majority of their emotions, they're also allowed to hit puberty, and they're given specially designed Franxx with unique fighting capabilities. Episode 1 of Darling in the Franxx starts with introducing the main characters and setting up some of the conflicts. Conflicts grow and change in the anime just like the characters' feelings and emotions change, but all of the conflicts revolve around the core theme of relationships, love, and human connection. Let's start with the obvious main focus of the anime, Hiro and Zero Two. Hiro starts the anime off as a failure. Everyone else in his squad has been able to pilot a Franxx, but Hiro and his partner are completely unable to. Because of this, Hiro's partner gets sent away. Hiro was supposed to go as well, but decided to stay. He was only given that option because of a special status he has. The Franxx are piloted by male and female pairs, and these pairings are a clear metaphor for relationships and sex. The pairs are even in doggy style when they pilot the Franxx, and it's very obvious that the creators wanted you to see the connection between the pairings and the representation of a relationship. This is the lens that we're going to look at the anime through. So Hiro is partnerless and useless when he runs into Zero Two. She's been brought to Plantation 13 because she couldn't get along with her squad mates, and with Plantation 13 being down a Franxx due to Hiro's failure, she's temporarily sent to the plantation. The pair have a flirtatious first encounter that works to plant the seeds of curiosity into Hiro's mind. Failure or not, this woman has sparked his interest. The episode moves forward and the plantation is attacked by a Klaxor. Zero Two and her current partner try to fight it off, but Zero Two's partner is killed in the action. Strelitzia, Zero Two's Franxx, crashes into the plantation and Hiro takes this opportunity to pilot with Zero Two. Zero Two pulls Hiro inside and gives him a kiss. The kiss is absolutely electric. Until now, Hiro has only been a failure, but now he's finally able to pilot a Franxx thanks to Zero Two. Hiro's life changes right here. After the fight, he can't really remember what happened, but he definitely remembers the feeling. Zero Two's kiss made his body feel on fire, and finally being able to fulfill his purpose made Hiro feel whole again. One important thing to mention is that Zero Two is known as the partner killer. Not a single person has been able to survive riding with her more than 3 times. All of her partners have been killed before then. While this sets up the threat of Hiro dying while riding with her, I personally found this to be another metaphor. To explore this metaphor, let's explore Zero Two and her past. Zero Two obviously has something going on with her throughout the anime. She is consistently wishing to be human, and she even smashes mirrors because she hates looking at herself. Zero Two wishes to fit in and be accepted. Sadly, she feels that the only way to do that is to fundamentally change who she is by becoming human. Zero Two is not a human, as I've mentioned a few times in this paragraph. She's a Klaxosapien. Well, a clone of one, but fundamentally she's a Klaxosapien.
Klaxosapiens are the humanoid klaxors that eventually evolved into the klaxors, and I'll talk about them more a little bit later. Zero Two was cloned using the DNA of the last Klaxosapien and then raised in complete solitude and subjected to constant painful tests. Her childhood was not a good one at all. One day though, a young parasite boy sees her and then breaks her out of her chambers and the pair run off together. This was a young Hiro, but that detail isn't super important for my point. Hiro sets Zero Two free, and for the first time in her entire life, Zero Two feels safe with someone. This is where Zero Two learns the word darling and where she gets her name Zero Two. The pair are eventually caught and taken back to their respective homes, and their memories are wiped as well, so neither remember the incident. The thing that APE, that's the name of the governing organization by the way, fails to remove from Zero Two is her desire to recapture that feeling. The rest of her life until she meets Hiro again is spent in solitude in testing rooms like before, but Zero Two keeps looking for her darling. Bring all of this back around to the metaphor I mentioned. Zero Two is the partner killer. In world, it's because she's a klaxor, but I think the idea of Zero Two being a partner killer is meant to represent someone's baggage.
With the idea that the Franxx represent relationships and in a lot of ways sex, it's easy to see the connection between someone's past and Zero Two's history of being a partner killer. Let's flip the script a little bit to show off what I mean. Let's strip away all of the sci-fi and put this same scenario in like a slice of life high school anime. Instead of focusing on a squad of Franxx pilots, it could just be a friend group, and instead of having Zero Two literally kill her partners, it could just be the representation of her going through a lot of boyfriends. The characters in Darling and the Franxx gossip about Zero Two's history just like a group of high school kids would gossip about that toxic girl. Hiro's friends would be worried about him dating the toxic girl just like they're worried about Hiro riding with the partner killer. Hiro doesn't care about the rumors in either of these scenarios because he has finally found someone who gives him drive and passion for life. Zero Two's past doesn't bother or worry Hiro because what he has with her gave him his life back. I think you can see what I mean when I say these Franxx pairs represent real-world relationships in a lot of ways. None of these metaphors are one-to-one or anything, but the connection is clearly there. I think it's one major reason why Darling and the Franxx was such a big hit and success. Everyone has baggage. We weren't all raised in solitude and put through constant tests, but we all have something. Seeing Hiro truly love Zero Two for who she is, despite the high chance that riding with her is going to kill him, and despite Zero Two's clear struggles and issues she's dealing with, strikes a chord with every viewer. Regardless of what your flaws and baggage are, we all want someone who truly loves us the way that Hiro loves Zero Two. We all want our darling.
Zero Two and Hiro's relationship is not without its bumps. There are fights and communication failures, but ultimately the pair is able to work through things. In discussing Zero Two, I've touched on Hiro a little, but I'd like to spend more time with him. Like I mentioned, Hiro was unable to pilot a Franxx. He has no clue why, but we later learn that it's due to him ingesting some of Zero Two's blood when they were little kids on their adventure. This is also probably why he's able to pull through the third battle with Zero Two and come out alive on the other side. However, he knows none of that going into the third fight. Ichigo, the squad's captain, really doesn't want Hiro to ride with Zero Two again due to that safety concern. Hiro doesn't care about the risks at all though. For Hiro, his life was worthless and he was a failure until that fateful kiss with Zero Two. Piloting with Zero Two gives him some real meaning and drive in his life again, and that's not something he's willing to give up. Even if it kills him, this is what he wants. There's not really as much of a direct metaphor with this one, but the feeling is still universal.
I'm sure many of you watching have had passions or relationships in your life, and everyone around you was telling you to stop for whatever reason. Sometimes you gotta ignore everyone else and do what your heart is telling you. I'm not saying you ignore your friends and family, I'm just saying that there are times when what you believe and what they believe are not going to match. When that happens, you do need to listen to them, but ultimately you do need to do what you think is correct. For example, I grew up Mormon. I know, I bring this up in every video. But in Mormon culture, and especially in Utah, it is very taboo to date a non-Mormon as a Mormon. It's not doctrine in the Book of Mormon or anything like that, but there is a heavy cultural impact there. Not trying to turn this into a Mormonism rant though. Point is, I started dating a non-member in high school and my family was not happy about that. They wanted me to end that relationship for a variety of reasons, but for me, everything they were saying, I was seeing the exact opposite. They had concerns and I listened, but ultimately I chose to go down my own path. This is what Hiro does as well. Ichigo is worried for him and she deeply cares for him as a friend and as a romantic interest. Hiro listens to her concerns, but ultimately chooses to go with his heart, even if it kills him.
The team takes some time to really accept Zero Two. They do eventually work through the drama, and the group becomes pretty tight until the end of the anime. Speaking of the end, I do need to mention that a lot of people didn't like the last third of Darling in the Franxx. I personally was fine with it and I enjoyed it a lot, but while I was researching for this video, I found that a large portion of the anime's fan base is critical of the ending and some other pieces. I'm not going to dwell too much on these criticisms because this video is about the characters and their relationships and not a critique of the anime, but I'll say some brief words on this really quick. The twist villain in the whole space arc is a bit rushed and out of the blue, but also the ape guys were always sus, so while this twist of them being sentient evil AI aliens is pretty weird, there was some foreshadowing that something weird was going on. I didn't have any issue with this twist personally, but it is true that it could have been done a lot cleaner. Also, I guess a lot of elements of Darling in the Franxx were pulled from other mecha anime, and so a lot of people got frustrated by some of the tropes used in the story and some of the more blatant copycat moments. I had no problems with this because besides Pacific Rim and the Power Rangers, this is the first show I've watched that involves giant battle robots. I haven't seen Evangelion or Gurren Lagann or anything of the sort, so any mecha tropes or copied moments just went right over my head. There are other criticisms as well, like with the Klaxors, but that's not the point of the video. I just felt like I did need to touch on this at some point in the video. So if you hated the ending in Darling in the Franxx, go put your comment now that the ending sucks and we can move on.
We're not done talking about Hiro and Zero Two because I will talk about the ending once we get there, but for now I'd like to move on to the next piloting pair, Ichigo and Goro. Ichigo is the leader of Squad 13 and an absolute queen. Goro is her piloting partner and an absolute Chad. Ichigo and Goro are great examples of dealing with rejection and how you should handle feelings toward a friend. First, let's talk about Ichigo.
For the first third or so of the anime, there is a clear love triangle between Hiro, Zero Two, and Ichigo. Ichigo and Hiro grew up together along with the other children, and because of this, everyone in the squad has a deep connection with each other. When Hiro first pilots with Zero Two, Zero Two kisses him and it absolutely blows Hiro's mind. After he fights off the Klaxor threat, the group wants to see if he's able to pilot with anyone else, and so Ichigo and Hiro give it a try in the next episode. None of these parasites know what a kiss is, by the way. Hiro tells Ichigo about the kiss and about what it is, and how he thinks that could have been what allowed him to pilot with Zero Two. So Ichigo gives it a try and she and Hiro kiss. Hiro says he feels absolutely nothing, but the same cannot be said for Ichigo. She felt that spark this time. It's honestly a bit heartbreaking to see Hiro say that he felt nothing. The pair fail to pilot together and the show moves forward, but the kiss flipped a switch inside of Ichigo. All of the kids were raised in very sheltered environments, and because of this, they lack a lot of knowledge, and especially when it comes to relationships and feelings. Ape normally kills this behavior in the parasites, but like previously mentioned, Squad 13 is experimental. Ichigo is very confused by how she feels toward Hiro, and this does cloud her judgment at times, but ultimately, the way Ichigo ends up handling her feelings toward Hiro is great. To start, she's very jealous of Zero Two, and understandably so. She has really deep feelings for Hiro, and ever since their kiss, those feelings have been overflowing. Ultimately though, Ichigo comes to decide she needs to focus on putting their team first, and she needs to be happy that Hiro is happy. Things are not perfect forever though. During Zero Two and Hiro's biggest drama, Ichigo runs after Hiro and confesses her love for him, and she forcibly kisses him. You definitely shouldn't forcibly kiss your friends, even if you have deep feelings for them. That's not good. In fact, it is sexual assault. Besides this though, I think the way Ichigo handles her feelings towards Hiro are a good way to handle a situation like this. Ichigo struggles with her feelings a lot, but heading up to that second kiss, she's trying her best to push those feelings aside and put her team and friends first above her own desires. Ultimately, those desires win out and she goes to Hiro and confesses her feelings to him and kisses him. But the way she handles that rejection is also really good. She doesn't hate Hiro for following his heart and choosing Zero Two, and she doesn't feel like any less of a person because of that rejection. After this rejection, she comes to fully accept that her and Hiro are just not a pair meant to be. She's able to come to peace with this, and once Zero Two stops going crazy, she's able to accept her and her relationship with Hiro. From here on out, Ichigo definitely loves and deeply cares for Hiro, but it is different. Instead of her feelings for Hiro consuming Ichigo, once she accepts the place she holds in Hiro's life, she's able to rein in those feelings for him and respect his boundaries. It's important to note that she doesn't bottle those feelings up after this, but instead those feelings are able to take a new shape because she's willing to accept and respect Hiro's decision and boundaries.
I want to discuss this in a real-world context before we move on to Goro. Goro and his actions are in the same vein as Ichigo, but spoiler alert, they do end up together at the end of the show, so I wanted to talk about this before we got to Goro and his success of getting out of the friend zone. There is no metaphor to discuss here because it's not a metaphor. Ichigo is literally in love with her friend. Now, I've been on every side of this situation over the years. I've been in Zero Two's position where my partner's friend had feelings for them. I've been in Hiro's position where my platonic friend had feelings for me. And I've been in Ichigo's position where I've told a friend how I feel and got thrown deep into the friend zone. In every case, compassion and understanding is key. Being in Zero Two's position can be uncomfortable, especially if your partner wants to keep a close relationship with the friend they confess to them, but you ultimately need to trust your partner. If you can't trust them, then why are they your partner? I'm not saying it's bad to feel insecure or anxious when you're in a position like Zero Two's. I personally would feel extremely uncomfortable and insecure in that position, but that doesn't mean you just ignore it. That means you discuss those feelings with your partner so they can reassure their commitment to you. Of course, cheating is a thing and people can lie, but that is not the majority of cases. Trust your partner, and if you can't, then maybe you should break up. I think Hiro's situation is the easiest to handle. Personally, I just feel flattered when this happens. It's pretty rare and has only happened to me twice, and the first time was in high school and I was kind of a dick and ignored the person afterward, and that wasn't very cool. If you're made uncomfortable by a friend confessing feelings for you, then it's okay to set new boundaries and restrictions with them, but it is kind of shitty just to cut them out completely and ignore them forever. I personally feel that if a friend comes to you with unreciprocated feelings, you should be clear that you don't reciprocate those feelings, as well as set boundaries that you desire with them. But I also believe that that friend can work through those feelings and things can get back to where they were. Every situation is different though, and there is no doubt a spectrum on how you should respond. I'm speaking pretty generally here. Lastly, and probably the most complex position to be in, is Ichigo. It's kind of a meme that the male best friend is always going to confess their feelings to their female friend.
I have to tell you something.
And while this isn't always true, I personally have seen it destroy friendships. I had a close friend of mine who had feelings for a mutual friend of ours for years. He told her on multiple occasions, and each time she told him that she just wanted to be friends and nothing more. He couldn't accept this at all, so he would misconstrue every act of kindness as a subtle hint to something under the surface. He let these feelings consume him, and I'm not kidding. I tried for a year straight with talking to him weekly. He would tell me the things she was doing to hint at him, and I would tell him over and over, "You're wrong, dude. That's not a hint. She's just your friend." I made that clear every single time. She was even in a serious long-term relationship. My friend could not accept this, so he let his feelings consume his every thought, and this ultimately ended with our 5+ year friendship ending. It also absolutely destroyed him mentally. He of course eventually went to our friend and confessed his feelings for the 3rd or 4th time over the years, and when she once again said, "I do not reciprocate these feelings," he went full incel mode. The texts he sent me after he confessed again were really upsetting because he was calling our friend a leading bitch for leading him on when she did nothing of the sort. I had been trying for well over a year to get it through his thick skull that what he was seeing was not reality. The way he was treating our friend after she didn't reciprocate his feelings for the 4th time was enough for me to call him out, and because of that, he turned on me too. To that friend, if you're watching, stop being fucking cringe. In my opinion, it's okay to confess feelings to a friend, but within reason. In my friend's scenario, a few years ago when he first got told, "No, I'm not interested," he should have dropped it and moved forward. I get it. Feelings don't just go away, but that doesn't change the fact that you have to work to accept the rejection, otherwise those thoughts and feelings are going to completely consume you, and you're going to waste incredible amounts of time and energy on a relationship that is just not going to happen. Confessing your feelings to a friend isn't a correct choice always either. Some people are going to be weirded out and uncomfortable by that and are in turn going to distance themselves from you and set new boundaries with you as a result of it. What you need to do is examine the situation and examine your feelings and what you want and what you're willing to risk. If your feelings are so strong that it's eating you up and destroying you inside, then go ahead, say it. Just talk to your friends first and get some advice before you go tell your friend that you love them, and understand that it could go very poorly for you and you need to be willing to accept that. If your friend responds with "No, I'm not interested," you have to move forward and focus on dating other people. Also, on the other side of things, if your friend is already in a happy relationship, maybe you just skip the whole confessing step and go right to moving on to someone else. There's no easy answer, and even with the other two situations we discussed, there's no easy or clear answer. In any of those positions though, one thing is universally true. What matters is you approach the situation with care, compassion, and understanding for the other person and their feelings. It doesn't mean you have to fuck them if they come to you with feelings, it just means you need to try to be kind.
Goro's situation is somewhat similar to Ichigo, with the exception that he actually ends up with his crush. That's why I wanted to talk about that weirdness that can come when you have feelings for a friend before we talked about Goro. While not impossible, it's a meme that getting out of the friend zone is really hard for a reason. Most of the time, that does not happen. Goro is the rare exception, and I love the way he approaches his feelings toward Ichigo. To start, he keeps them a secret for a long while, just letting them simmer. They don't consume him like they consumed my real-life friend, but rather they're just there in the background, and Goro does acknowledge those feelings to himself. He also recognizes Ichigo's feelings for Hiro, and he doesn't hate Ichigo or Hiro for those feelings. When Ichigo confesses to Hiro and kisses him a second time, Goro was walking outside when he saw what was going on. Instead of freaking out and letting the very likely negative feelings he's feeling consume him, he instead smiles because he's happy for Ichigo and hopes that it goes the way she wants. He loves her and he wants her to be happy more than anything, even if that's not with him. When it comes to the complex situation of confessing your feelings to a friend, this is a very good response. If you really care for someone, you need to be able to be happy that they're happy, even if it's not with you. Goro has a conversation with Hiro about his feelings toward Ichigo and makes it very clear that he doesn't hold any ill will towards Hiro for being the light in Ichigo's eyes. Goro does of course tell Ichigo how he feels eventually after almost dying, however, he also says that she doesn't need to reply to his confession. Goro has always been that rock in Ichigo's life, and she does eventually grow romantically attracted to him, but that's not for a while. That whole time leading up to those feelings though, Goro is accepting his place in Ichigo's life and is happy that she's happy. At the end of the series, he even heads off to explore the world once Hiro's off planet because he's still living his life the way he wants to instead of waiting around for Ichigo. Ichigo comes around to him in the end, but it's clear that if she never did, Goro would have been just fine. He let his feelings take the shape that Ichigo needed in her life, whether that was her rock or her husband. When I said it's important to take compassion and care for the other person when in complicated romantic situations, Goro is a great example of someone who does just that. Next, Zerome and Miku. Well, not really. I don't have anything to say about them. They fight and bicker, and I don't really remember them being an official couple at the end of the show, but it's clear that they at least care for one another. Next, I want to talk about Ikuno. She is Futoshi's original partner, and they eventually get paired with different partners because of love and stuff. What's important to note about Ikuno is that she's gay. While it takes a while for the show to show this, and it's not directly said, it is very much implied. In episode 18, Ikuno expresses her feelings to Ichigo about how jealous she gets when Ichigo is with the boys and how Ikuno wants her all to herself. She also hates the Franxx system because it has to be a man and woman piloting the Franxx instead of two women. Ichigo doesn't reciprocate these romantic feelings, but she still helps comfort her friend in a really kind way. Like I said, I find the Franxx pairings to act as a metaphor for relationships, and I think this is another great example of that. Ikuno hates the man and woman piloting pairs because she's attracted to women, and more specifically Ichigo. While thankfully LGBTQ people are becoming generally more accepted in today's society, there are most definitely gay kids growing up in very right-wing households that would also hold this same level of disdain for the men and women norms reinforced in their homes. There's not really a ton more to say about Ikuno and her being gay because that's all we really get, but it's nice to see one of the characters struggling with these types of feelings. I also really love the way Ichigo responds to her expressing those feelings. It's another example of someone responding with care and compassion for the other person, even when the feelings are not reciprocated. Now, Futoshi doesn't have a ton to discuss about him either. He's originally paired up with Kokoro, and about a third of the way through the show, the pair have a talk and decide to be partners forever. And then, later in the same episode, Kokoro pairs up with Mitsuru during the partner shuffle. This obviously upsets Futoshi and causes a lot of internal drama between Mitsuru and Futoshi. I don't really have a lot to say that wouldn't just be repeating myself, because like with Ichigo, Futoshi eventually comes to express in Kokoro's life and is able to rebuild his friendship with Futoshi. There is some commentary about fat shaming with his character that I really like, because fat shaming people is cringe. Futoshi is overweight, yes, but he's happy and healthy, and that's what's important. The constant jokes from Zerome about his weight really get under his skin and stick in his head. Zerome honestly doesn't care if Futoshi's a bit overweight, and he thinks he's just being funny. However, this does end up giving Futoshi an eating disorder, and when Zerome finds out, he's very apologetic. If your friends are teasing you about something that makes you feel bad about yourself or insecure, then say something. If they're really your friends, they'll stop. And if they don't stop even after you say something, then maybe you need some new friends.
Finally, the last pair, Kokoro and Mitsuru. Originally, Mitsuru was paired with Ikuno, and Kokoro was paired with Futoshi. Mitsuru also has some drama with Hiro that's kind of gay-coded, but we're not going to discuss that because we've already discussed how it feels to be LGBTQ and have feelings for a straight friend when we talked about Ikuno. Mitsuru isn't even gay, even if the implications are there to suggest he's a little fruity because he ultimately falls in love with Kokoro. So maybe he's bi, but that doesn't really matter too much. What does matter is his relationship with Kokoro, and subscribing. You've almost watched this entire video, so why not subscribe? I write video essays on all sorts of media just like this one, so if you liked this video, you're definitely gonna like my other content. Hopefully by the time I post this video, I've hit 500 subscribers and I'm halfway there to monetization, so help me get there.
Back to the anime. To start, Mitsuru is kind of cold to Kokoro. The pair never really interacted all that much with the exception of the greenhouse. Both parasites like to hang out in the greenhouse to get away from the others, and so they had a few interactions while in there. Mitsuru is kind of a dick at first, but slowly warms up to Kokoro as he gets past his emotions targeted at Hiro. As the pair starts to bond, Mitsuru has Kokoro cut his hair, and he looks way worse with the short hair. I'm definitely biased because I actually used to rock something similar to Mitsuru's original hairstyle. I didn't look nearly as sleek as he did, but I do like that hairstyle for guys. I also now rock long hair, so yeah, I'm biased on the haircut, but the haircut itself is a cute scene that works to increase the pair's bond together. Kokoro found a book about childbirth near the start of the series, and it's been eating away at her because she wants to be a mom. Pretty soon, after the haircut, Kokoro tries to fuck Mitsuru, and he is not into it. After a conversation with Hiro though, he comes to understand this weird feeling he has and comes to realize that he loves Kokoro. The pair end up fucking and becoming an official couple. They even seal their bonds by getting married. I saw a lot of people were critical of the wedding, but let me just put my 2 cents in here. People said things like they're rushing into the wedding and stuff, and yes, they indeed are, but this is completely accurate with young love. None of the kids knew what marriage was until they learned it from Zero Two's storybook. Mitsuru and Kokoro really like the idea of sealing their love together, and so the kids put on the wedding.
I live in Provo, Utah, and for those who don't know, that's where BYU is.
Okay, how long do you think people date at BYU before they get married?
Let's go 2 months.
I've seen many times in my life where a couple will date for a couple of months and then get married. And I've heard many stories of people dating for a few weeks and getting married. My aunt even did that. I am more than willing to believe that these characters would want to get married after learning what it is, because to them it's just this bright beacon of hope in their life. They don't know about divorce or cheating or breakups or anything of the sort. They just learned what love was a few weeks ago, and the pair is most definitely still in the honeymoon phases of their relationship. So yeah, the wedding didn't bother me at all. I don't want to turn this video into me defending the anime against critiques, but I did want to at least add my 2 cents on the wedding.
After the wedding, the pair gets taken away by Ape and their memories of each other are wiped. Squad 13 was allowed to get away with a lot that other squads wouldn't have gotten away with, but the wedding was a step too far. This is honestly really heartbreaking. When the two come back, they are still the same people, but they have no memory of their first love or of each other. The other squad members are telling them all about the past, but neither Kokoro or Mitsuru feel anything for the other and lack all memories of the other person. This is the main thing I wanted to talk about in regards to the pair. While at first, both parasites tell each other that they lack any memories and feelings toward the other, it comes to light that Kokoro is pregnant. I was really glad they didn't force her to have an abortion. While I support abortion rights and I don't believe it's murder or anything like that, I do still think it's wrong to force on an abortion on someone who doesn't want one. That's the whole point of choice. Kokoro does get the choice on whether or not to have the baby. She's not sure what to do, but ultimately with Mitsuru's renewed support, she decides to have the baby. When Mitsuru finds out about the baby, it sets something off inside of him, and it's the ignition point for the pair coming back together. It was really nice to see the heartbreak heal, and even though neither remembered their past lives together, they both decided to move forward and build their lives together. Seeing them fall back in love with each other is really genuinely sweet. Lastly, let's get back to Hiro and Zero Two and talk briefly about their ending. Like I mentioned, people have issues with this ending, and a decent amount of the criticism is fair. However, we're not going to talk about any of that. What I want to talk about is how beautiful their ending is. Let's do some quick summarization. The parasites from all plantations are going into a massive final battle with the Klaxors. They have a very large and powerful weapon called Star Entity that Zero Two and Hiro are tasked with taking control of. The pair promise to each other that they'll do whatever it takes to reach the other person. Once they make it to the weapon, Zero Two gets thrown out of their Franxx by 001, the Klaxor princess, and the princess takes Hiro and takes control of the weapon. As a big twist, it's revealed that Ape is actually run by Verm, who are a hive mind alien race. Their goal is to assimilate humanity into their systems and also destroy the Earth and the Klaxors. They actually trapped the massive weapon and turned it into a big bomb with Hiro inside. The bomb will destroy the Earth, so Zero Two and crew work to get Zero Two inside so she can help deactivate the bomb. Of course, they succeed, but they also learn about the true nature of the Klaxors and the Verm in the process. I don't want to explain every detail because there's a lot, and if you're watching the video, then you should have watched the anime. Point is, Zero Two's consciousness plants itself inside of the big Klaxor weapon called Strelazia Apis. The Klaxors blast off to space with Strelazia Apis in order to fight off the Verm fleet, and the parasites go up and join them eventually once they realize that Zero Two is piloting the big Franxx with her soul. Eventually, Hiro is able to jump in Strelazia Apis and it takes its true Apis form. Big boobs. Then Hiro and Zero Two take a long ride through space that ends with them blowing themselves and their ship up in order to take out the Verm threat. There are no doubt a lot of issues with these last few episodes, but I wasn't bugged by any of them. What I was transfixed on was Hiro and Zero Two and the lengths each of them are willing to go for the other. Each fights to save the other, and while they get autopiloted to their death, both are okay with it because they get to be together. They're quite literally interlinked. They're connected on a completely different level for their time fighting Verm and while inside of true Apis. There really isn't a ton to dissect with this, but it is just so beautiful. Everyone wants love, right? Unless you're maybe aromantic, you probably want and desire a partner who loves and cares for you on a deep level. Someone who understands you and your quirks and what makes you tick. Someone who will literally fly to space for you. Someone who you can just sit with and be happy. The anime has been talking about these birds that have one wing and they can only fly when they find their partner. The birds support each other and are able to fly by pressing up against each other and using each bird's wings to fly. This is obviously a metaphor for love. While everyone is of value, I personally find that being in a real and true relationship helps pull out your true potential. When you have a partner that loves and supports you in all that you do, it really is life-changing. That's what we see with Zero Two and Hiro. Each person fully loves and supports their partner, and without that, humanity would have lost against the Verm. It's what we should all strive for in a partner, and seeing Hiro and Zero Two's love grow over the series and at this beautiful peak is wonderful to watch. With a partner like that in your life, you can handle any threat thrown your way. Also, while I don't believe personally in having one soulmate or twin flame destined for you, I find that idea and concept absolutely mesmerizing. Having that person who's meant to be your equal in everything you do is really sweet. At the very end of the anime, we get to see Zero Two and Hiro born again and meet each other again in their new lives, and it's really heartwarming to see. Regardless of the time and place, they will always have each other.
While the overall structure and story of Darling in the Franxx might have flaws, I find the relationships to be explored in the show to be absolutely fantastic and great examples of how we should strive to be. We should work to accept our friends and support them in any ways we can. Even if you harbor feelings for a friend, Ichigo and Goro are great examples of how you can move past those feelings. If your partner is clearly struggling with their self-image or anything of the sort, you should respond like Hiro and work to fully understand them so you can help them work through those struggles and dramas. I really liked the relationships explored in Darling in the Franxx, and it's no surprise to me why it was a successful hit. Thank you for watching my video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to give your friends head. Have a great night.
Don't you worry, it'll be okay. Don't you worry, spit and come, you make my life okay.